Hello and welcome to another First Chapter Friday. So today we are looking in our sports subgenre for SOR Losers by Avi. So we'll read the first chapter and then I will read the synopsis. Chapter 1, How I Made the Team. Where's Kelly? Mr. Lester's face was really pale. How can we practice without Kelly? Doesn't anyone know where he is? It's 2:30. Mr. Lester, our history teacher, thought he might cry. For myself, I felt like laughing hysterically. We were standing back of our school near the playing area, 11 of us, feeling very silly in brand new red shorts and yellow t-shirts with SOR on our backs. If any dog catchers had come around, they would have swooped us up for a bunch of stray mutts. Everywhere else on the field, kids were running, tossing, kicking, all that stuff. So far, during 2 practices, we had done 2 things. None of us knew the rules. Mr. Lester had to read them to us. Then we ran around in circles while he read the rules again to himself. He didn't know them either. Second practice, we tried kicking the ball. Wasn't easy. Gentlemen, pleaded Mr. Lester, we have our first game tomorrow. Doesn't anyone know something about Kelly? No one said a word. The truth was going to hurt, and no one wanted to hurt Mr. Lester. He was a nice guy. We have to play tomorrow, he said as if we didn't know. We knew it all too well. It was my special buddy, Salt, who let it out. He no longer goes to our school. His father's job was transferred somewhere. Kelly kind of tagged along. I didn't think we'd had our new uniforms for more than 30 minutes, but Salt, a natural slob, looked like he'd slept in his for 20 years, and he, like the rest of us, was only 12. No longer in school, said Mr. Lester, who actually volunteered to be our coach. What about our game? Our first game. He wanted to be with his family, said someone. I think this was LSQ. The coach sighed. He was a history teacher, and we were not what they write history about. If South Orange River Middle School had a worse collection of athletes than the 11 of us, they were already on display in a museum in the mummies section. But there we were, Hayes, Porter, Dorman, Lifsum, Salts, Radish, Root, Barish, Alescu, Mocht, and me, Citro, in the school that was famous, positively famous, for its teams, all-stars, and we were not considered typical. Who did he think was going to be goaltender? Asked Mr. Lester. Doesn't he understand you can't play soccer without a goaltender? He should have just told me. He said that just the way he might explain the sinking of the Titanic. His brother probably got the job because Kelly didn't want to play, said Dorman. When Mr. Lester got real red in the face from frustration, he looked like an overripe tomato. His round face puffed, and a few bits of topside hair were like old dead leaves. It was clear he regretted being coached just as much as we regretted the thought of playing. For example, me, I was so bad that I was designated as the 1 sub. I didn't expect to play at all, but then none of us expected to play. The thing was, our school had a requirement that you had to play at least 1 team sport for each year you were there. We had slipped through the first year. None of us had played. None of us wanted to. But they caught on, and they made up a team for us real fast. All right, we're going to stop there. At South Orange River Middle School, everyone is expected to play 1 sport a year. After all, SOR is famous, positively famous for its teams and all-stars. But for Ed Citro's crowd, 11 determined non-jocks, a team had to be created. Mr. Lester, a history teacher with a keen sense of battle, glory, and gore, and an uncrushable optimism, volunteered to coach. What happened was sports history, but not the usual kind. The story of the team's first season had to be told, and goaltender Ed Citro reveals all. 6 awesome games played as never before by his special 7th grade soccer team. For this is a tale not just about the fun of playing the game, any game, but a joyful, hilarious declaration of independence. All right, so if you are interested, we have this book in the library. It's in our sports subgenre. And I'll see you next week.